Everyone, today we will be discussing about Special Marriage Act of 1954 because it was there in news recently as there was a plea which has been moved in the Supreme Court of India challenging certain provisions of the Special Marriage Act of 1954 on the ground that it is violating fundamental rights of citizen under Article 14, 15 and 21 of the Constitution of India. So this plea was filed by a student. Okay, so the student in that plea that is said that it is violating the fundamental rights, namely Article 14, 15 and 21. So let us see what is the detail of this particular thing, okay, a particular issue. Before getting into the detail of this all sections, let us first know what is this Special Marriage Act is all about. This is an act of parliament enacted in 1954 with one intention, that is provide a special form of marriage for the people of India as well as all Indian nationals in the foreign countries. So this is applicable for all Indians as well as all Indian nationals in the foreign countries. Okay, and irrespective of the religion or faith followed by either party. So marriage is a act between two individuals. Okay, so it will not be the caste of or the religion of that particular two both people will not be a problem for their marriage. Okay, so this under this particular act they can register their marriage irrespective of their religion as well as their faith. Okay, so this is mainly utilized by the intercaste marriages as well as the interreligion marriages. So if a couple couple is the both person is from different religion, they can easily get married under this particular Special Marriage Act of 1954. Okay, so there is no problem with the religion or faith of that particular people. So they can use or they can avail the facility under this Special Marriage Act of 1954. So this is one of the good act enacted by the parliament because this can be availed by the availed for intercaste as well as the interreligion marriages. Okay, so now let us see the plea. Okay, so the plea was to strike down section 5, 6. Under 6 there is two subsection, that is subsection 2 as well as subsection 3. Okay, and then it is 7, 8 and 10 of the Special Marriage Act of 1954, and it is said that these particular sections are unjust, illegal and unconstitutional. So this is why the particular plea is saying to strike down these sections. These sections are 5, 6, 2, 6, 3, 7, 8 and 10 of the Special Marriage Act of 1954. Okay, now let us see all these sections separately. Under section 5 of this act, it is said that a notice of the intended marriage to be given to the marriage officer. So here we have a marriage officer who will be doing all the procedures of this particular registration. Okay, so priorly a notice should be given to this marriage officer before getting married. Okay, and then the marriage officer keep this notice in the record of his office. That is the first point. He will be keeping all this notice in the record of his office, and secondly he keep a copy of the notice in the marriage notice book. And then thirdly, he will be, the marriage officer will be affixing a copy of this particular notice in some conspicuous place in his office. Conspicuous place means which is very visible. Means if a person, some people are coming to that office, that people can easily see that notice affixed on that office. Okay, so this will be clearly visible to every person who is coming to that office. Okay, so this is the three area where this notice will be registered. First is in the office record, second the copy will be in the marriage notice book, then third any place in the office that will be affixed on any place where it is visible for every person who is coming to that particular office. So in this the problem is that when this is a copy is keeping in the marriage notice book, this can be inspected by anyone who want to at all reasonable time without any fee, which means that if any person want to inspect that particular marriage notice book, he can see there is no need to pay any fee for that inspection, and also at any time he can see that particular notice. Okay, so this book can be inspected by any person at any time without any fee. That is the problem number one. Then second is that this will be published on the office in an area which is visible to all the people who is coming to that office. Okay, so that is also violating the privacy of the couple. Okay, so these are the 2 points that we have to take considered. Okay, we have to be taken care of. Okay, so this is what is mentioned in the section 5. Okay, that means this notice to be informed to the marriage officer, and he will be keeping that notice in the records, then in the marriage notice book, and also in a place where it is visible for every people. And that marriage notice book can be inspected by any person at any time and without providing a fee. Okay, so now let us see what is section 2 and subsection 3 of section 6. Okay, so under this, name, date of birth, age, occupation, parents' name and details, address, then PIN code and identity information, phone number, all these details will be given to the marriage officer. Okay, and this will be published for public scrutiny. Okay, and this must be given before 30 days of intended marriage. Okay, so this will be scrutinized by the public. Okay, so they will be publishing this details for the public scrutiny, and this must be given before 30 days of intended marriage. This is section 6. Okay, under subsection 2 and 3. So this is the another point, that in that the couple will be giving all the information or all the private details to this person, and that will be scrutinized by the public. Okay, so now let us see section 7. So after 30 days of such notice which is published, I told you that under section 6 all the details will be published for the scrutiny. Okay, so and that is also before 30 days. So once this 30 days is over, the marriage may be solemnized, that means approved by the marriage officer, unless there is an objection is raised by any person. Okay, so under section 7 it provides that there is a chance for a person to object the marriage on the ground that it will be contravened to one or more conditions required for the eligible to marriage under this act. So there are some conditions that must be fulfilled for getting under this particular marriage act. Okay, so if any person is raising such kind of contravention or any objection is raised by any person, they can consider under this section 7. Okay, so if any person is raising an objection against this act, that will be considered under section 7. That is what is in the section 7. Okay, that objection will be can be raised after 30 days. Okay, then section 8. In section 8 it is said that the marriage officer will not solemnize the marriage until either he has inquired into the matter and is sure that there is nothing to prevent the marriage, or the objection is written by the person who made it. There is 3 points. One is that the person will not marriage officer will not solemnize the marriage under 3 conditions. One is that he must be sure after his enquiry that there is no problem with this marriage. That is the first point. Second, that there is no objection. That is, if there is any person is making any objection against this particular marriage, either he have to withdraw that objection, otherwise that marriage will not be happen. Okay, so this is the second point. So here you have to taken care of 3 points. That is, there is a power for the marriage officer for not solemnizing this marriage. Second one is that he will be solemnizing this particular marriage only after his inquiry, and on that inquiry he will be confirmed that there will not be any problem for this marriage. Okay, and third point is that if any person is making an objection, this marriage will not happen. Only if that person who has made some objection is withdrawing that objection, only this marriage will happen. Okay, so these are the points under section 8. Then comes the section 9. In this, the section 9 gives marriage officer all the powers vested in the civil court for the purpose of an inquiry into the objection received. So if any person is making an objection the marriage officer can inquire into that particular objection. On that case, he will be having all the powers vested in the civil code. Okay, so this is what is given in the section 9. So we have seen all those sections. So in turn, what we understood from this total point is that one point is that all the details that is given by this couple will be gone public. Okay, second point is that this will be scrutinized and any person at any time can see the details of that person, and only after inquiry by the registered marriage officer this couple will be able to marry. Okay, so there is a lot of difficulties they have to undergo. So now let us see the problems one by one. Okay, first point is that this will be violating the privacy of two adults, because marriage is a private decision, and if they have decided that they will be getting married, then all the external people coming into interrupting this particular day will be a kind of violation of the privacy of two adults. Then second point is that the personal information of the individual is open to the public scrutiny. So that is not at all a fair issue. Okay, so because they are giving all the details of them, and that is easily accessible to any person at any time without providing any fee. Okay, so that is not acceptable. Then if all these kind of informations are made public, what will be the impact or after effect? The couple will be facing social problems if it is intercaste or interreligious marriage, because at the current situation or the current era of India, still intercaste marriages as well as interreligious marriages are not so acceptable or well welcomed. Okay, so in case so society is getting to know that these people are getting married, means they are from two caste or they are from different religion, they may make some problems. Okay, such incidents has already been reported. Okay, that is the another point. So this information going to public will be making this couples vulnerable, because sometimes they may get harassed by the society, or sometimes they with the involvement of the family they may get harassed, or sometimes this marriage even will not happen with the involvement of the family, because if a girl may be taken away by the girl's family, and also the boy will be taken away by the boy's family. So such kind of things can happen if this kind of information is going public. Okay, so that is the problems which is occurring due to this kind of all these sections in this particular act. Okay, next is the history, because this is not the first time that there is a lot of debates going on this particular sections of this act. Okay, there are many instances on which this particular section has been debated, and so far there is no conclusion. Okay, and one hope or one positive notion from one of the government is that Kerala government, because Kerala government recently stopped uploading of scanned marriages notices, because they also have, that particular state is also having some this kind of activities, no. So there was a complaint of misuse of personal information contained in the marriage notices. Okay, so in what the Kerala government is doing is that they will be uploading this marriage notices in their registration department's website. So it is there was a complaint that these informations are getting misused. Okay, so based on that complaint, Kerala government had recently issued a circular which is to stop the practice of uploading of this scanned copies of notices of intended marriage. Okay, so Kerala government issued such a circular to prevent this misuse of their information. So anyway, court has not issued any or any circular regarding this particular, or court has not ordered anything regarding this particular issue. This issue will be considered by the court as early as possible. So we will be expecting a result. That result will be coming soon. So let us wait. Okay, so that's all about this particular topic. Thank you.